Today on Rainmakers, we're joined by Andrew King, Director of Ministries of Compassion and Prison Ministries at the Ontario Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. With a heart for the marginalized and a passion for practical ministry, Andrew leads life-changing initiatives that bring hope to the homeless, support to the incarcerated, and inspiration to local churches across the province. Stay with us as we explore his journey, his mission, and the powerful stories that remind us of what compassion in action truly looks like. Andrew, welcome to Rainmakers.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to be here.
It seems like you have a lot of titles where you work.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit of those titles. Just break it down really briefly of all the areas that you serve in.
I've been blessed to be in community service, ADRA, national and international, of course, that focus. Possibility Ministries, which encompasses blind and deaf, and and community service.
Okay.
So yeah, how do I forget community service? That's what I'm supposed to be focusing
right.
on, Compassion Ministries, and that all encompasses Compassion Ministries at this present time.
Now, you mentioned Ministries to the Blind. I have been involved with Christian Record Services, which is serves the blind. We have blind camps all across Canada. I've run a few. I've worked for them as a teenager. Tell us a little bit of what you do and you organize for Ministries for the Blind.
Well, right now, surprisingly, tomorrow we'll be going up to blind camp at Camp Frenda.
Okay.
Every year we have blind camp, and that means about a week where we take the blind campers up to Frenda. They get horseback riding, they get to do archery, boating. Listen, Paul, I'm sure you have seen the most amazing thing. Watch a blind person water skiing.
Yes.
Hiking, the fellowship together with them, the Bible teaching, but it's also for them an opportunity just to get away from the city.
So tell me a little bit how you're trying to get the Seventh-day Adventist Church, wherever we're located, involved in the community. What are some of the things that they're involved with?
Well, what we're doing at my ministry is that we will give you resources, both financial and then training.
Okay.
And then we encourage our churches.
Yeah.
So looking at facility, the hard part for churches that rent, they may not be able to do as much as churches that own their own building.
Right.
Many of them now, we're surprised at how many are involved in food distribution, clothing distribution, hampers, back to school. And there's each one of these aspects of ministry. If you look at your congregation and what's unique about your congregation, also understanding what are the needs of the community. So we encourage our churches to go out there, talk to your neighbors, find out what their needs are. For me, I want to educate our congregations. Do you have community partners? Do you know the people in your community?
Right.
Don't just throw ministry at your community. Find out who your community is. And when they do that, they're amazed. I didn't know this was there. I didn't know that was there. For some of the churches, Paul, simply, all they need to do is partner. Just join with another ministry that's already been there and then wait for your niche to open. Everyone will have their own specific niche. You don't have to be the ones, I've got to do this, because maybe the community doesn't need that.
Yes.
So I think that's what we look at in the area of success. Getting as many churches engaged in some aspect of outreach. And I don't just say out, but also in, because some of our members are also going through difficult times. And we need to be in, but too often, as you said, we focus in without focusing out.
One of our churches in Simi Valley had a food bank there. Except Simi Valley's filled with a lot of wealthy people, very wealthy. And so somebody went in to analyze and said, why do you have a food bank here? You need divorce recovery. This is the highest area in the United States that has divorce. Meet the needs of your community, whatever they are. And I really like what you said there, because I really believe, don't get them to know your name. You learn their name.
That's it.
That's the personal touch. Do you have any stories of connections that have, through blind ministries, through Ministries of Compassion, through Adventist Community Service, through ADRA? Do you have any stories that stand out to you as where a difference is being made in a person or family's life?
So, well, in the area community, we've watched one of our members at one of our churches in the Durham area was able to start to build and to do this. And this year she got an award.
Oh, really?
And she got an award for distributing the most amount of food by herself.
Really?
I think the number was up to 2.5 million pounds of food.
No way.
That she was able to move by herself.
Really?
Yes. And I thought, If one person can do that,
Yeah.
could you imagine if all of our churches now got together
Yeah.
and started thinking, what can we do together?
Yeah.
She was able to create partnerships.
Right.
And in their partnerships, and it's very unique, she was working with the Muslims.
Yeah.
So the Muslim food group would give her halal,
Hmm.
and she would give them vegetarian.
Wow.
And through that relationship, a partnership develops, the community is fed, and we
Yeah.
get new friends within our community that we've never had before.
Yes.
Looking at that instance, some of our friendships, the situation they're in, are creating friendships and partnerships that would never happen because adversity has taken place.
Right. Right.
I'm amazed now. You talk about Bronte.
Hmm.
I mean, Bronte Church in a very affluent community. They're going out and giving out food bags. They say, Pastor, when you come in the morning and you see we have people coming in this community, which is a little bit more affluent than our normal communities,
Yeah.
and receiving. Also, the expansion of our food banks all across to the suburbs,
Yeah.
to everywhere. There's no one who has not been touched.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
what happened this year with the refugees?
Yes.
Now, I know you the story what happened. The refugees came to this city of Toronto and ended up on the streets.
Right.
And we got a call.
Hmm.
And the call that I got, check out the call. Pastor, what are you going to do about the refugees on the streets?
Yeah.
I thought, well, why is that my issue?
Hmm.
I didn't put the refugees on the streets. I said, but we got to do something.
Yeah.
We said, we're going to do something.
Hmm.
So we as a church got together and we started a clothing drive,
Hmm.
and we were able to get 500 coats.
Wow.
Right? And we got 500 coats. We got 600 socks. We got 600 gloves, hats, scarves for the winter clothes drive.
Yeah.
We also, while they were housed in different Sunday churches,
Yeah.
the Seventh-day Adventist Church contributed to work together to send food every day to make sure these people had food.
Right.
And while we were doing that, I think it was Thanksgiving, we we're having a meal and we're handing out the coats. And one of the gentlemen within the group came up to me and said, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Wow. Wow.
I said, excuse me? He said, I arrived here. Now, Paul,
Yeah.
we didn't do it because there were Seventh-day Adventists in it.
Yeah.
We did it because there were people who were in need.
Wow. Wow.
And,
Fantastic.
and people, so now when I talk to our churches, I said, go and help because there's a need.
Yeah.
Go and help. You'll be amazed at who you touch,
Yeah.
who you make a difference to.
Right.
And those churches, those immigrants who have come in for the refugee experience now, have started churches, have joined churches.
Right.
New churches are being established as a result of that.
Yeah.
We didn't know, but didn't God create a ministry? People ended up on the street. We did ministry.
Yeah. Well, one of our mutual friends from the Mississauga church, one of her work with the city of Mississauga is for finding housing for refugees. And she said, Paul, I've reached my limit. I have nowhere else to turn. So if churches don't show up, these people are on the streets.
That's it.
We have to do it.
We have to show up.
Yeah.
We have to be. Isn't that what I remind our church every time I go out, Paul?
Yeah.
We are Jesus' hands.
Yeah.
We are Jesus' feet.
Yeah.
And when people see us, they say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people need to focus on the point that you have now an opportunity
Yeah.
to change someone's life in a magnificent way or impact their life.
Yeah.
And you never know the impact that's going to have on them and on their family later on.
Right. So let's transition to another ministry that you do, which is prison ministries. Just recently, I got a phone call from a young man that I met at Camp Frenda when I was a counselor there, and who called me up. He says, Paul, can you come visit me in prison? So I've filled out the forms, sent it away to his institution, waiting for the feedback because I'm going to go visit him. But you do prison ministries. You oversee prison ministries in Ontario. What does that mean? What is prison ministries?
Well, prison ministries for us primarily is going in, as you have actually shared with me, going in to see the inmates. But the expansion of prison ministries, unfortunately, as a result of COVID, our numbers went down.
Right.
We were not allowed to go into the institution anymore. So the visitation stopped.
Yeah.
So part of it, when you ask me the question about what does success mean, what we're trying to accomplish is to get those numbers back up.
Yes.
To get back into the institutions,
Yeah.
to get more of our volunteers engaged. But the expansion of that is not only to those who are inside, but also to their families who are outside.
Oh, okay.
To the children.
Yeah.
To the spouses who are here.
Right.
So we have another ministry that we reach out to the families and do that as well. We're also working on a reintegration center.
Okay.
There's one in the east, I understand, but right now we will be building one and renovating one in the center of the city, in the West End.
That is Great news.
Yeah, because we look at the numbers, and about 1,000 to 1,200 inmates are released every year.
Yes.
But what happens to them when they're released?
Right.
So through our MASDA, which is Ontario Conference Prison Ministries Association, we're working together that we would be able to do housing,
Hmm.
do employment, education,
Yeah.
life skills,
Yeah.
help people so that once they come out,
Yeah.
they don't go back in.
Right. Right.
Because, everybody says, well, what's going to happen to them? So part of prison ministry is doing that. We want to get our churches understanding that you can make
Yeah.
a difference in someone's lives.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody can go in.
Yeah.
Not everybody should be in the prison.
Hmm.
So there are other ministries such as letter writing.
Yeah.
Mentorship can happen, and we'll train you through that process
Right.
of writing a letter to someone who's been in prison for a long time.
Hmm.
We did have a call for those individuals who won't be leaving prison anytime soon.
Hmm.
But you know what they asked us, Paul?
What?
Could you have someone write a letter for us
Really?
and encourage us? I was blown away,
Wow.
reaching back out to the community
Yeah.
and saying, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Don't forget about me.
Yeah.
So I think right now, when I'm looking at prison ministry, there's so many opportunities that we've been given.
Hmm.
This year in Ontario, for the first time, the North American Division is coming north.
Wow.
And as they come north, we
Yeah.
come Crossreach Convention. It's happening in Richmond Hill, August 7th to the 9th.
Yeah.
And everybody's coming up here to find out what happens in Canada, how we do prison, because it's a little different flavor to the way
Yes.
we do prison ministry than they have prison ministry down there.
That's right.
And as I was working through the organizing and getting it together, I got a call from someone. She said, "Oh, what do you need?" I said, "Well, we want to tell them what the Canadian flavor is." I always say we put a little maple syrup on it. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yes.
And she shared with me a group of young people doing prison ministry, all young people
Really.
who want to come in now. And I am excited about this convention because
Wow.
they're coming.
Yeah.
And they said, "Pastor, we're going to tell them the truth." I said, "Tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Let them know what you're dealing with. Let
Yeah.
them know the opportunities. Let them know what's happening."
Yeah.
So this plans to be a wonderful opportunity as we introduce and reintroduce to other people
Right.
what can happen as you deal with people's lives who may have been forgotten,
Yeah.
but should not be forgotten or should not be put away.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves an opportunity to be successful.
Right. Quick little story here about my brother who's passed away now, but was homebound. He couldn't leave, and he wanted to do prison ministries. So he would write to the worst
Wow.
killers in Canada.
Wow.
Paul Bernardo, Clifford Olson, some of these names. He would write to them
Wow.
to encourage them. Now, some of them wrote back and said didn't want any contact. Some had very positive contact. They were appreciative of that. Some were just, why they're in prison, and that's there.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do anything else. But he could sit at his computer, type out letters,
Exactly.
and send them to the institutions where people were spending lifetime in prison.
What an amazing ministry. And we would love to see more people get
Yes.
engaged because not everybody has the capability to go inside or ability or
Right.
it might be afraid,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But you can do ministry.
Yeah. That's right.
Like you just shared with me. You can do ministry in your home.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening with prison ministry. It is a rebuilding time for us.
Yeah.
Because of what's happened through COVID. But I'm encouraged.
Yeah.
And I want like everybody, if you feel that this is your brand of ministry, your
Mhm.
type, your flavor,
Right.
come, get involved, learn more about it, see what you can do to change these people's lives who have sometimes been forgotten.
And so if you do the proper certification with the government organization, prisons, in Canada, federal or provincial, then you can go into prisons as a chaplain or as a visit.
As a volunteer.
As
You
a
can go in as a
volunteer.
volunteer.
Okay.
Chaplaincy is different, but you can go in as a volunteer.
Okay.
And like I shared earlier, I think they're not allowing as many people in.
Right.
And that's part of the difficulty, and that's why I think we're expanding the ministry
Yeah.
so that we can affect people's lives in a different way. Because
Oh,
we're not
good.
going to get the same numbers. I don't think we're going to get the same numbers
Yeah.
as we got before COVID for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The way the institution is doing it, but that's not going to stop us.
Yeah.
We're going to use every opportunity we can to reach out to these people who may have felt that nobody cares.
Right.
We care.
Yeah.
We care. And there's some people who have been doing prison ministry 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Wow. Wow.
The one thing about this ministry, I have to say,
Yeah.
consistency. Consistency. It's not a one and a one off. You have to be willing to commit 1, 2, 3, or 4 years.
Yeah.
Because these people have been disappointed before.
Right.
And the one thing you don't want to do is disappoint them again.
Right. Right.
So if you hear about this ministry and you're thinking about it, understand
Yeah.
this is a commitment.
Yeah.
And once you go in, you get that excitement.
Yeah.
Then you get that 10, 15, and 20-year person who says, I just love prison ministry.
When I worked at the Ontario Conference many years ago, I was the camp director for Camp Frenda, and we in outside of Bracebridge is a minimum security center, and they contacted us because some of our pastors in the area would work in the minimum security, and they said, "Listen, we have a team that will come and they'll cut grass for you, they'll knock
Wow.
down trees and all that stuff." So I would bring them in regularly, on a monthly basis. We would feed them. We would get to know who some of these prisoners were. They were the nicest people in the world. And I was talking with murderers. I was talking
Oh,
with people that were in there for,
and they were nice people?
they were actually nice people.
You're kidding.
You could sit and have a conversation. So where I was like fearful of it, after a while, I wasn't so fearful. I remember them bringing them down to a hospital that Seventh-day Adventist Church used to run a hospital, and the kitchen was closing down. So we pulled out all the equipment. They came down for a few days and worked on the equipment. Yes, under guard,
Of course,
while
of
they were there.
course.
But we're able to take that equipment and we transferred it up to our camp up there, and from there across Canada to some of our other camps, so that we would have good stainless steel kitchen equipment. But they were so thankful, they were so happy, and sometimes all I did was just buy them a box of donuts for them to have a snack in and all that. But they loved to serve, they loved to get out, and they wanted to rehabilitate their lives. And we don't
Mm,
realize that people, many of the prisoners want a changed life, and they're looking for people
that's
to help
right.
change.
That's very true. I
Yeah.
remember when I was going into the prison, no, I went in, but I did come out.
Okay.
Okay. When I was going into the prison, and I had been at church one day,
Yeah.
and I was standing at the church, and a young man came up to me and said, Pastor King, do you know me?
Yeah.
So we meet so many people. I have no idea.
Right.
I said, I don't know you. I said, but don't you remember me? I said, no, I don't. He said, oh, and then he whispered in my ear, detection. I said,
Okay.
oh, yes. He said, shh.
Yeah.
And he came out, Paul.
Yeah.
You know that young man was baptized?
Wow.
He's turned his life around,
Yeah.
like you said. He's turned his life around. He made a mistake,
Yeah.
came out, joined the church, got baptized, married, started a career.
Yeah.
We need to understand
Mhm.
people make mistakes.
Yeah.
And as God forgives, we are not the one to judge, but we're the ones to help.
Amen.
And I think of that story right now. We've baptized people in prison.
Yeah.
Pastor Carlton Rawson, who's our coordinator,
That's right.
has baptized almost, I think, 10 inmates
Yeah.
in prison. Um, Pastor Greaves in Ottawa just showing us pictures of a baptism that happened out there.
Yeah.
So people's lives are being out while they're in prison. When they're coming out of prison,
Hmm.
ministry is happening.
Yeah.
Ministry is happening. Successes can be there, and we can thank God that we have an opportunity to do ministry at that level.
And we have a family of an inmate that's going through a hard time. Well,
Wow.
there could be their provider, financial providers
Exactly.
incarcerated, and they're
Exactly.
at home. And a church can be that family that they need
That they need.
to support.
We can fill that gap.
That's right, especially for their kids.
Especially.
It's hard for a child who's going to school every day and they say, "Well, where's your dad?" And goes,
Yeah.
"Well, my dad's incarcerated." They don't want to say that.
No.
So there's a lot of burden on them,
Yes.
and they carry around perceived shame. And
Yeah.
so a church could really do something. A group of people rallying around a family whose one of their members is incarcerated could be a change agent for
And
them.
as you think about that, breaking that cycle,
Yeah, that's right.
because they may think this is all I can do, but no, a church
Yeah,
can be that mentoring factor that would help that child to break that cycle and realize,
yeah,
no, you don't have to follow that path. So,
yeah,
as you and I are sharing, we see there's great opportunities
right.
as a church family
Yeah.
to get involved and to make a difference in these people's
Yeah.
lives.
And I'm going to point this out. There's a lot of retired men
Hmm.
that could be mentors to young teenagers.
Yes.
And, through the Big Brother program or
Yes.
whatever, but to take somebody underneath your wings and to mentor them, to care for them, to go out and have a good Subway sandwich with
That's
them
it.
and
That's
just,
all they
just
need.
spend some time with them, the difference it could make in their lives that will help prevent them from maybe entering a life of crime or something, like giving them a hope. And, one of the great things of church, people coming to church, is it gives a community that cares for you and can do that.
It
So
makes a difference.
it
And
does.
like you said, it's a simple thing of meeting with someone, taking them out,
Yeah.
being able to, I used to say to my young people, before you do something that you're not sure of, make
Mhm.
a phone call.
Right.
Call someone. Why? They'll pray with you.
Yeah.
They may give you that one instant where you might make that wrong decision. Someone can guide you in the wrong path.
That's right.
The right path instead of going down the wrong way.
Wow, fantastic. So, Andrew, what unique challenges do you face operating prison ministries across Ontario's varied correctional facilities? You have minimum, medium, and
Wow.
yeah. What's the top?
Do you have time?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
um, the institutions are not that receptive.
Okay.
They're really not that receptive. The amount of material that we can bring in, what we can bring in.
Right.
As a church, first and foremost for a church, churches, hear me very clearly. This is not about converting people. It's about ministry.
Yes.
And they need to hear that first. So the mindset that the volunteer goes in, where the fact that within their incarceration or within the institutions, they're not interested in rehabilitation.
Right.
They're locked down. We got a job to lock them down. Maybe you want to do that. So some of the challenges are educating people and letting them know these opportunities are there for them.
Yeah.
Getting more volunteers engaged, because the number one thing is burnout.
Yeah.
We don't want one person to be doing over and over and over again. So you want more volunteers to be engaged in it. Even going to our churches. I was in one of our churches, and I won't tell you the name because then you'll know the church.
Right.
But as I came into the church that day, we were doing prison ministry day. They brought a prisoner in handcuffs with the guards. And the person sat down to the service and they left. I thought, wow, this church is really progressive.
Right.
I couldn't do that in every church, Paul.
Yeah.
Some churches say, no, don't bring that person to my church. And
Right.
the education is one of the most important things through this process of ministry to this group. I'm not saying everybody should do it.
Right.
But I don't think there should be that negative aspect as well. If somebody's coming, and remember, that person is willing to come to church to worship with you.
Yeah.
Imagine the message that they're getting.
Yeah.
Imagine what they're going through. And they're willing to come.
Right.
So those are some of our challenges. Federally, we're not so much into the federal prisons. It's more so the provincial prisons.
Right.
There's not as many federal as there are provincial.
Right.
But federally, reaching out to some of those federal institutions, which are the long haulers.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are not coming out.
That's right.
And being able to do ministry at that level. That's part of our challenges right now.
So the letter writing that you do, can it be done through emails, or does it have to be, the hard copy of a letter?
No, it can be a hard copy. It can be an email.
Okay.
But there is also, we teach you how to do it.
Yes.
Because it's not just writing a letter.
Yeah.
What you're saying, who you're saying, be careful how you're saying it.
Yeah.
So there's a whole program in place where we sit down and we train you. What kind of, because remember, everything that goes in is read.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to send a letter in, and you want to be able to also protect yourselves. So we want people to understand that doing this ministry, in unique as it is, there's a lot of education and training that takes place. Yeah. We would love to take you along that trip, along that journey, so that you can be blessed to that ministry.
All right, Andrew, we have a few minutes left in this show. I know it's gone by fast. When we get talking...
2 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought we were here for a long haul.
Is there anything that you especially want to say to people out there that might be watching for them to get involved in prison ministries and ministries of the blind, in Adventist community service, feeding the hungry and all that stuff? Is there anything you would like to say to invite people to be part of that? Because lots of people like to sit and watch a show or listen to a sermon,
but not get involved.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
what would you say?
I would say to them, find your niche in ministry. When we look at community service, it's no longer just the outward community. It's your neighbor. It's the person who's living beside you.
Right.
Ontario has changed. The cost of living has gone through the roof. As a result, people are struggling to make it each and every day of their lives. So please, reach out in your local church. Reach out to your community. Try to make a difference in whatever niche you have. First of all, ask God what he would have you to do. Don't just sit there and say, I can't do anything. Because I believe, Paul, that with God, all things are possible.
That's right. That's right.
In the area of outreach, one of the things that we're doing in community service, prayer walks.
Nice.
So we have with a relationship with TPS, Toronto Police Services. Yeah. We now have 2 prayer walks a year. Yeah. The entire city of Toronto, Metro, GTA, comes together, 16 divisions, and we pray with the police together and our community leaders.
Fantastic.
The relationship is being nurtured by the chief of police, Chief Demke. Yeah. And can you imagine, we're 16, so we all stop. The mayor comes out, and we walk the streets and we pray. And as we pray, prayer is making a difference.
Fantastic.
So you can get involved. You can pray. Um, you can walk out in your community. You can join a prison ministry. I just ask everyone, get involved.
Yeah.
Get engaged. God is opening up opportunities for you to make a difference like never before at a time like this. Please, won't you join God's hands and make a difference?
Andrew, thank you for joining me today on Rainmakers. It's been a pleasure to have you here. God bless you.
Thanks, Paul. Nice to be with you.
All right. Have you been moved by this story and feel inspired to help us to continue bringing these impactful moments to life? Your support is essential for us to keep showcasing the volunteers making a difference. If you'd like to contribute to the production of Hope Channel Canada and its ministries, it's simple. Visit agentsofhope.ca, where you'll find various ways to donate. Debit, credit, Google Pay, Apple Pay, or even send an e-transfer to Agents of Hope at hopetv.ca. Prefer mailing a check? Send it to Hope Channel Canada at 1148 King Street East, Oshawa, Ontario, L1H1H8. Or for a more personal connection, call us at 1-855-4-HOPE-TV. That's 1-855-446-7388. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel called Hope Channel Canada and click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode. You can also watch on the show on multiple platforms like hopetv.ca, cable TV, the Roku app, and the Hope Channel app. Are you looking for answers to life's most profound questions? Hope Study provides free online Bible courses that cover essential topics, all at your own pace and from the comfort of your own home. One of our enriching courses, The Unlimited Power of Prayer, invites you to discover the remarkable world of prayer. Here, talking with God is not just a boring routine, but a sincere conversation with a source of love and wisdom. This study will deepen your understanding of prayer's incredible power and help you build a stronger connection with God. Signing up is easy and completely free at hopestudy.ca. Begin your journey today and feel free to share this valuable resource with anyone else seeking answers. Uncover life's answers. Visit hopestudy.ca and start your journey today.